Good morning and welcome to the Twimbit Asia Pacific Telecom Summit 2022. I am Manoj Menon, CEO and founder of Twimbit, and together with our partners F5 and Kyndryl, we are thrilled to host you all at the second edition of this summit. Joining me on this session is Adam Judd, Senior Vice President, Asia Pacific at F5. Adam, welcome.
Thank you. A warm welcome to you all, and thank you very much for joining us.
2021 has been a year of great transformation and change for the telecom industry in Asia. Revenue growth at 6.4% was the highest in the last 5 years, and 75% of the telcos in the region improved their EBITDA in 2021. Now, one overarching trend we see in the industry is the growth in the non-connectivity business. Twimbit estimates that 50% of the telcos in Asia have managed to establish and grow the non-connectivity business in the last year. This has grown at about 20% year on year, 3 times the growth of the overall industry. Case in point is Taiwan Mobile has 55% of their revenues coming from e-commerce. Several other examples, companies like Airtel, Globe, and SoftBank have made great progress in establishing their payments businesses. And so also SK Telecom, trailblazing with its innovation with the Metaverse platform. These examples demonstrate the rapid transformation that telcos are making to becoming digital companies and providing digital lifestyle services. Now, to keep that change, to drive that change, they also need to transform their technology infrastructure because there is pressure on managing the EBITDA margins simply because the average consumption of data per consumer is increased from 6 GB per user per month pre-pandemic to 12 GB per user per month today, and possibly 60 GB per user per month by the end of the decade. So Adam, you work now with service providers across the region. How do you see this playing out, how the service providers are transforming to cope up with this?
Yeah, so in a post-pandemic world, it's very clear that we're going to see many enterprises move to a hybrid work model. And that, of course, is going to increase the demand on capacity from the service providers. Now, in some cases in Asia Pacific, service providers have the luxury of being able to increase tariffs. But as we know, it's a very competitive market. And so the fundamental problems in terms of cost to serve and time to service are still of absolutely critical importance to all the carriers across APCJ. Which is why, of course, there is such a focus on software-defined architectures in the industry today. And when you look at the industry, when you look at things like VNFs and CNFs, and even Open RAN technology, they're all going to play a massive role in that transformation. In fact, even the analysts, and if you look at IDC, they believe that market alone will grow from about 7.5 billion in 2020 to 29 billion by 2029. So it's an incredible high growth market, and a lot's going to happen in the next few years.
Oh, that's great, Adam. So I'm sure many of your customers, Adam, have moved over to virtualize their core networks or are looking at new ways to monetize their networks. So could you share, let's say, some best-in-class examples of companies who have done well?
Yeah. Well, I think the obvious example, which is becoming very famous globally now, is Rakuten Mobile. For those of you that haven't heard about Rakuten, certainly before 2018, you could probably say Rakuten was similar to the Amazon of Japan. They now do $13 billion of revenue, so they're absolutely enormous. But in 2019, they launched, they applied and they were given a wireless carrier license to go and compete with the giants in Japan. And there's a gentleman who is the CEO, and he is one of the visionaries of the industry, Tarek Amin. And he basically plot a path in terms of how Rakuten Mobile were going to compete in Japan with this new infrastructure and services. Don't forget, they didn't have any legacy infrastructure at all. There were two real, I think, imperatives which really determined their path forward. The first one was around open standards and open source. As you know, the legacy industry we live in is very much determined by the systems integrators and the virtual stacks or the stacks, the networking stacks that they make you essentially deliver as part of their platform. So you're very much tied into a proprietary way of going forward. And even though there are many open standards, who you decide to build out on obviously is a very governing factor for that. So open source, open standards was absolutely critical. The other area really which they are leveraging more than anyone else in the world is around automation. And for all of those in the audience that know that during 4G, to roll out a service, a new service in 4G, and to scale it to 1 million users could take months, if not years, to do. When you speak to Tarek, they talk about minutes and hours. And so being able to do all of that not only is a huge saving on OPEX and CAPEX, but also it's a massive platform for innovation. So what did F5 do? Well, we signed a strategic agreement with them in 2019. We took a number of network functions, things like DNS and CGNAT and policy enforcement, and even firewalls. And we took it from the virtual, the VNF world, into a container native function. And so now they have the only end-to-end cloud native 5G network in the world. And that is powered in a lot by F5, which we're very, very proud of. Now, what they have done, they've also built an ecosystem called SimWorld. And inside SimWorld, obviously our functions are inside SimWorld, but that also is a platform for a whole ecosystem of innovation partners that they will not just use for themselves, but they will take to the worldwide community, and we will help them do that for all the other mobile carriers in the industry.
That is a great story, Adam, and really tees off to the second trend that we are seeing in the industry, which is the focus and prioritization of the enterprise business. Now, clearly, 5G and Edge is expected to drive much of the telco growth till the end of this decade. Edge computing is expected to grow from 36 odd billion in 2021 all the way to about 90 billion by 2026 at a CAGR of over 20%. The adoption of IoT is putting a lot of pressure on data volumes and network traffic, and there's a demand for low latency processing and real-time automated decision-making solutions. So, Adam, what do you see in your work with telcos? How do you see this shaping up, the networks and the infrastructure and conversations?
Well, as you said, data process, I should say, outside of the central data center is set to grow anywhere between 10 to 50% just this year, according to Gartner, which is absolutely huge. Now, the speed of 5G, but also the decentralization of the applications and the services that this now allows at the edge of the network, and not just the edge, but also what we call the far edge of the network, is really driving, I think, a new revenue stream that we haven't seen for a long time, right? In terms of innovation outside of that connectivity that you talked about. And so the ability to drive managed services at the edge of the network, either via connected cars, smart cities, other IoT platforms, there are so many different projects and innovations that are going on at the moment.
Is there a specific customer or a company that you're working with to enable these enterprise solutions?
Yes, there is. And hot off the press, in fact, by the time I think this airs, there will be an announcement. We have a strategic partnership now with SoftBank in Japan. SoftBank, one of the largest conglomerates in Japan, and certainly with 56 million subscribers, one of the largest carriers also. They have been looking at the problem of how to monetize their 5G infrastructure, but not just the infrastructure, but also the edge. And so they've been playing with, I think, a number of clouds, which are very service specific. And the problem is that when you set a project with multiple clouds for very specific services, it becomes very unwieldy and very costly very, very quickly. So They have selected F5, our distributed cloud, which is essentially going to manage those platforms and more importantly, be able to launch services at scale at a far less operating cost than they're currently seeing today. So a lot more to come on that project as we go forward.
Thank you very much, Adam, for that insightful sharing on the trends and specifically the stories of customers, which I believe would be a great learning for many of us in this industry. It's been a great opportunity to work together, to bring everybody together. And hopefully next year, Adam, we will do this in person and be able to hug the customers and talk to people in live. Yeah?
Well, we look forward to it, and thank you. You know, at F5, we're very proud of the work that we do with our service provider customers. We are always, you know, focused on being a trusted partner that's centered around innovation. And look, I've been in this industry for too many years that I care to mention. But it's, I can really sense that there is a point of innovation that is happening right now, and specifically around managed services and the edge and the infrastructure that I think is going to drive a whole new wave of growth. So it's an exciting time.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you again, Adam, for the partnership. And with that, I would like to now invite Susan Follis, Managing Director, ASEAN and APAC Growth Unit at Kyndryl, to give us her welcome remarks. So over to you, Susan. Welcome.
Thank you, Manoj. Kyndryl is excited to partner with Twimbit and our technology partner F5 to bring the telco community together, albeit virtually. Hopefully, the next year event, we will all be together in a physical setting. Kyndryl is the former infrastructure services division of IBM, which became an independent company as of November. We are not starting from scratch. With 19 billion in revenue, 90,000 employees, and over 4,000 customers. We design, build, modernize, and manage mission-critical technology systems. As an independently publicly traded company, we have the freedom to participate and broaden the border of our market ecosystem, to expand the range of technologies and services we offer to you, and we can now go where you want to go and collaborate with you to deliver your digital agenda. Telcos are driving change by transforming to software-defined networks, as well as building new 5G capabilities and services to expand growth in enterprise and customer lifestyle services. As the world's leading managed services provider on our own transformation journey, we hope to partner with you and be the heart of progress together. Vikram, working with you is a privilege, and I truly look forward to hearing your growth aspirations. And Imri, I look forward to meeting you and listening to your journey. Thank you again, Manoj. I wish you all a great event.